Good afternoon. I thought I'd come on here and I was going to do my whole first video on the camera, this and that, but the reality is I've got all this information in my head. I haven't got my stuff yet. I already said that is very soon to come. It's just tied up at the moment, but it's all good. I just thought, you know what, why not just get my Samsung S20. She old, she cracked, she's sad, but we're going to set her up and we're just going to make a video because, hey, you just got to start, don't you? And I don't want that to be a reason that I don't start just because I don't have the setup yet. So I'm just going to start. So obviously I'm Cass. You already all know that. 2 years I have been really looking within myself and doing a lot of healing, a lot of reflecting, a lot of learning, a lot of growing, all of that fun stuff. It's fun, painful. It is a lot. And yeah, I've been through a lot, but it's the best 2 years I've ever been through, as much as it was the most agonizing 2 years that I've been through. But I don't want to hold back in sharing this because I believe it can truly help others. And this is why I've got a book here as a little bit of a reference to try and help me, because I'm a bit of a writer, okay? In all fairness, I should have been a blogger. I definitely struggle to get what's in here out, but I can write it in pages and pages and pages, and that's the thing I have been told by people. I'm okay when I sit down with a friend and get on a topic and I can go for it, but I can write exactly what I feel onto paper so well. I should really be blogging, but I just feel like this format gets out to people and resonates a lot more with people. So yeah, well, maybe I should blog as well, but I'm not too sure. But it's a good way to get my confidence up and practice anyway, making these videos and trying to learn to speak what's on my mind as opposed to a script. I know people call it a script, but whatever. But out of all of this anyway, I wanted to start this first video on letting go. So turning judgment, resentment, and shame into compassion, understanding, and forgiveness. So it took me a hot minute to figure this one out, to figure out why I held on to things so much and how it was actually really negatively impacting my life, my relationships, all of it. So let us begin. The first part I want to touch on is judgment. Why do we judge others? Where does this come from? Often this comes from, there's a few things I want to touch on. One of them is we're missing something inside of ourselves. There's something inside of ourselves we haven't healed, a pain, something we experienced, something we've done, something that's been done to us that we haven't faced. And quite often those internal struggles will come out through judgment of others, because the saying that everyone loves and knows is we quite often don't like in others or criticize in others what we don't like in ourselves. So that is obviously one of the parts to it. The other part is quite a going way back to our genetic makeup, which is like our human behavior, and goes back to caveman days, which is that what do you call them, like a tribe mentality, pack mentality, herds. We group together for survival. And that's why quite often there's this big fear about being your authentic self and going out the box, because when we were back in those days of survival, we had to stick together. You didn't want to be shunned or ostracized out of the group, because that meant you die. Rejection from your tribe is you're shunned, you die, you don't survive. It was, a natural thing inside of us, but that no longer serves us anymore. But, we still have a lot of that mentality, as you've noticed in society. Everyone just bands together and acts or will behave a certain way, and everyone's scared to go out of that box a little bit, because we know we have that fear of being judged and being shunned, being ostracized. You're weird, you're different, so very much can see how people are so judgmental or afraid of being judged. So that is another part of it. And another thing that I wrote down that I thought I said to myself today, and that was, how can you exercise something to others that you can't even exercise to yourself, which is compassion, forgiveness. If you can't forgive yourself and give yourself compassion, how are you ever going to extend that to others? Do you ever notice that it's not until somebody goes through something that you've been through that then they can extend that compassion and understanding? Then all of a sudden they understand why you did this, or, all of a sudden that compassion and all of that, it all comes out. But what if we could do that without having to go through what the other person had go through by stepping into their shoes? To be able to extend that compassion and that understanding without actually having to experience something painful or go through what the person has gone through. It's that parent-child mentality. This is such a random reference, and I don't know why I thought of this, but do you remember this is so silly, but do you remember when Logan Paul got absolutely nailed to the ground when he fucked up in that forest and the whole world turned against him? I know this is such a random reference, but everyone just fucking hated him. And don't get me wrong, when you fuck up, there is consequences and you have to face those consequences, but it's what you do after that counts. But imagine that was your child. Imagine that was your child that everyone was hating on, and that any other part of that person's character suddenly just was nothing. They were nothing. They were that mistake and nothing else. But as a parent, we exercise that compassion that we are human. We make mistakes. I mean, look at ourselves. We have, and we are going to continue to make mistakes and fuck up. It's just being human. But imagine if that was your child, and you would never base your child's whole identity on this one mistake. Do you know what I mean? What if we could extend that compassion to ourselves and to others? Another way to look at it, which I saw this video that this girl made, and she was quite emotional in this interview, and she said, when somebody does something extremely out of character for them, if you know this person, they're a good person, they have good values, this person, and they do something extremely out of character, think to yourself, what is this person going through? What is this person experiencing? What have we don't see what's happening behind the scenes of people's lives. We often see these highlights of everyone's lives, but we don't actually realize what is actually making a person do what they're doing or make this mistake. We don't see that, and I don't think we exercise that enough in life towards people. How is basing someone's entire character on one mistake fair? I would certainly hope people had enough compassion to know and acknowledge that I can hold myself accountable, that person can hold themselves accountable and take responsibility and change. I would at least hope that much. Building this compassion requires questioning ourselves and why we choose to judge and critique. Often it's because there's things that we haven't faced in ourselves, maybe a lack of experience. There's many reasons. Until we choose to really look inside, we can't really grow. So, one of my main reasons for judging that I tried to figure out, why do I judge people? Why do I feel envy or jealous or, any of that? And often it was because I couldn't understand how that person got to where they were. How are they so happy? How did they drop this victim mentality? How did they drop the negativity out of their life? How are they so happy? And that often irks something inside of you. It's almost angering. It's like, fuck, how did they do it? How did they do it? And then you find yourself judging them or talking about them because there's something in you that you haven't healed that they have, that you want to know, you want to get rid of, you want that pain gone. And often we will judge others based off of that, but really it's something we're internalizing that we haven't faced, you know? So the next topic is resentment. This is a big one. This is really the power of letting go when it comes to resentment, because it means, and people find this the hardest to do, the most fear is around it because it requires forgiveness. The biggest part of letting go is forgiveness. So how do we forgive people or somebody that has hurt us and caused us pain? Especially when it's a deep pain, you know. How do we forgive people or someone that has done that to us? So I'm about to introduce you to one of my favorite quotes, which is, resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. That pretty much sums up resentment. So when you choose to carry that energy, to hold on to bitterness, to hold on to hate, to people that have done things to you, you are only going to create two things. One, a big fat fucking chip on your shoulder. And two, a victim mentality. How do I know this? Because I developed both of those things through my experiences and from carrying and holding on to this victim mentality. Especially after everything I'd been through in my life, all the way from childhood, you know, the bullying, an abusive relationship at 17 that fucked with my head, you know, divorce, it's all brought on so much resentment and all this energy tied up inside of me. You know, I had a lot of hate for the people that have done me wrong, that have made me the way I am. You know, a people pleaser, a lack of trust, lack of safety and trusting people. My self-esteem ruined, low self-esteem, mental health issues, the list goes on. So how on earth would you expect me to forgive these people? You might ask. Because did I deserve any of what happened to me? Of course not. Do you deserve anything that happened to you, that people did to you? Of course not. But this is where the earlier topic of what I was speaking of on compassion links in. It's all interconnected. Everything that I talk about here is always interconnected. So when you realize that people are only operating off what they know, you can understand that people make mistakes, feel regret and change. Even if they don't, that was never on you, okay? Yes, we would hope that they can change and do that, but if they don't, that's not on you. You didn't deserve what happened to you, so you grieve it. Everything we go through, the heartbreak, the trauma, you grieve it. You feel it, you grieve it, you process it. It's your responsibility to heal from it so that you can become a healthier, happier person. And you free yourself with forgiveness. You free yourself from that resentment. Forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for not being stronger in those moments. Forgive yourself for not leaving that situation. Forgive yourself for not standing up to that person or that bully or that thing that was done to you. Forgive yourself. And remember that people are only operating off what they know, their experiences, their upbringing, their values, how they were parented. their beliefs. That's all anyone's actually operating off. People can do things to you and treat you a certain way, but it's their job to do the work and take accountability for that. It's not your responsibility. You have to realize that people are operating off a set program. It sounds quite robotic, but once you look at people as like a set of programs, they're just running off what they know. It kind of brings a bit of peace, you know what I mean? You can let go so much easier and exercise that compassion, because that's just, you know who they are, you know how they operate, and it makes it much easier when you see that where people sit in your life. It's not that you're cutting people off, it's not that you're better than anyone else. It's just that I know this is where I stand with this person, I can only speak to this person this way. You start to learn where people are in your life, and Nero Knowledge explained this perfectly in his videos. He comes from a more scientific, more quantum physics based approach, and it's very interesting. So that I highly recommend looking into that. It helps a lot. If you're someone, because we all learn differently. Some people like the more spiritual side of things, of healing. Some people might like the more scientific side, the energy, the frequencies. There's all different ways that we take things on board, that work for us. So that's why I've looked into, I find there's different, all those areas have specific things that have helped me, psychology, science, this, that, like they've all played their part in my healing and letting go. But, pretty much, as I was saying, when you see that people are just operating off what they know, you can reclaim your energy and take a lesson from what happened and become even stronger. So that's where the victim mentality comes in. So you create a story. You internalize a story. You pretty much become the story, and what you internalize is the story of negativity, and what you internalize is in your subconscious, and that materializes into your reality. That is what you project, and it becomes your reality, because this is what's in your subconscious. This is the story you're living, and that's what manifestation is. You are going to manifest that. That will be your life. My God. So I found when I hadn't, faced my shit, and I hadn't processed my grief, especially after my divorce, when I didn't face my shit, I felt like the whole world was against me. And I was projecting my unresolved pain onto people and in environments, and even putting myself in environments in this mentality, this victim mentality, and I attracted exactly what I was putting out. So people either used me because I was putting out this whole negative, poor me, and this is someone that's just in such a low freaking low frequency right now, or people just plain out disliked me or bullied me, and then I'll just be like, oh my God, why is everyone being so mean to me, poor me, or just didn't even want to be around me because I was just a walking cloud of unresolved shit, raining my negativity and hurt onto others. And be honest, is that the type of person you want to be around? No. Because if you're somebody that's doing the work and you're healing your traumas, you're taking responsibility, you're being your human. We only have us at the end of the day. Like, we, from birth to now, till the end, it's a relationship with us, ourselves. We are our human. It's our responsibility to take care of us. It's like one of my favoriteest people at the moment, Matthew Hussey. I highly recommend checking him out. He's like a relationship coach, but it's just so much more than that. He's been extremely healing for me. He's compassionate. He makes me feel valued. He's made me boil my absolute eyes out. I just resonate with him so deeply. Like I said, you find certain people that work for you and just resonate with you and help you through this process. But he said, there's this thing around feeling sorry for yourself, but that's not what it is. It's like a stigma around it, but it's you don't feel sorry for yourself, you feel for yourself. So you grieve the heartbreak, you grieve appropriately. You feel for yourself the way you would feel for someone else going through something. You are there for yourself, and you soothe yourself through all of this pain. And, we learn far more from our negative experiences than we do from our positive experiences. And that's what helped me let go of all this resentment and hate and bitterness, was that instead of looking at the bad things that happened to me as negative, I look at them as I learnt my biggest lessons from them. I survived these battles, and now I get to help others that I wish I had in my darkest times. I can be that hand to help pull someone out of a really dark place thanks to these experiences. That was another thing. I had friends that helped me through this time, but also knew that I could only help myself. Eventually, there's only so much you can actually do for someone till they can realize that themselves, that, they need to do this for themselves. And I understand now, why I had some people pull away from me that were very close. I understand it now. And I'll explain that. So this very, very, very dear friend of mine, when I was behaving this way and my victim mentality were going out, and I was just so negative, and why is people treating me this way? And I was reacting to things in ways I never, ever used to react to, because I was just chip on my shoulder, man. And she's like, Cass, you are reacting to things the way the Cass I know, or old Cass, would not react to. And that hit me. I was just like, oh, shit. She's like, you are not seeing things for what they are. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's right. I was so blinded and clouded by resentment and bitterness and feeling sorry for myself that I wasn't seeing anything for what it really was. So I had friends that supported me and called me out on my shit, but also gave me the space to know that I needed to do this on my own. Nobody is going to save you. There's no knight in shining armor. It's you. But this is the true meaning of protecting your energy. So I think that line can sit funny with some people. Sometimes I can take a bit of offense to it. It sounds bad. I'm protecting my energy, like you're protecting yourself from some evil force or an evil person. That's not what it is. So it's understanding, even if it's friends, like my friend did with me, and I understand why she did it now. Back then, it makes sense. So protecting your energy, it's knowing that people in your life, no matter who they are operating only from what they know, and having compassion towards that, and hoping that they will heal, and that they will take that journey, and they will get through their internal struggles. But that also means you might be somewhere different, and they just have to sit in a different spot in your life. That is all, while you carry on your journey. Sometimes our journeys, they do go like this, or they distance themselves. That's life. That's, you're not cutting people off. They're not low vibration or bad people. Everyone is just at different stages in their journey, in their life, in their healing. And I feel like looking at it that way, you're able to view things from the lens of compassion and understanding. So do you want to hold on to all of that and stay where you are and become bitter and resentful and stay stagnant? Or do you want to grow and heal and share and thrive and have healthier relationships? When I choose forgiveness, compassion, and understanding, I'm choosing growth. I'm choosing life. I'm choosing healthier relationships. I'm choosing to be free. Because when I detach and let go, you open yourself up to so much. Trust me, you're blocking your blessings. Once you let go and detach, things will come in and the universe will just provide. Beautiful things will happen. Trust me. And I know that facing your shit is incredibly hard and it's lonely and it's painful and I'm still learning. I'm still fucking up. I'm still making mistakes. I am still growing. I am still healing. It never stops. It's an ongoing thing. And being raw and honest through this journey, through so much of my life, I have been depressed. I have been so down in the dumps. I have been negative. I've had suicidal thoughts. I have cried in a room by myself. If you had seen this or heard someone crying like this, you know what I mean? I've been there. I've spiraled out of control. I have dissociated. I have made big fuck ups. Life is hard. But when you face your shit and you truly face it, forgive yourself, let go. It's so beautiful on the other side of that, I promise you. And it gets easier. Yes, there is harder days, but you learn how to deal with them better. I promise you that. You are so much stronger than you realize. So much stronger. And shout out to a mate of mine that I haven't seen in years and years and years, that we're sort of reconnected, reached out to each other, going through similar journeys. And he said to me, God gives his toughest battles to his strongest soldiers. And that had me burst into tears. I cried so much when I heard that, but that is a saying I definitely know I'm going to hold on to. So I hope this helps you sort of understand how beautiful of a process this is and how letting go is setting you free and opening yourself to opportunities, to beautiful relationships, deepening your connections, deepening your friendships. It's a beautiful thing. And I really hope this helped. And I'm going to leave you with that. Take care.